Alrighty, so welcome to everyone to our third week of trainings here for the BE305 program. I'll just begin by providing a quick little background on how the program came about, and then I'll kick it over to the Touchstone team who will go over some of the compliance requirements, and then you'll have a live demo at the end on the benchmarking process. So my name is Reynaldo Rodriguez, City of Miami Building Department. This ordinance actually came about in June of 2021. City of Miami Commission went ahead and passed this benchmarking ordinance. From that ordinance came the BE305 program, which was implemented by the building department this year. For the past year and a half, we've been working with Touchstone IQ. They're a benchmarking and energy solutions provider, and they're helping us implement this program. We've been working on getting a website going, as well as other different things to assist us with the implementation. Our current website has a lot of resources, including background on the program, requirements and compliance dates, frequently asked questions, how-to guides, which basically walk you through the benchmarking process, as well as training videos and these live trainings as well. We've also established a dedicated email address and phone number for those that need assistance. So we have a help desk who's ready to assist all the building owners and property managers. The email address is benchmarking@miamigov.com, and the phone number is 305-416-1688. And I'll go ahead and drop that in the chat once I'm done. So just to put the program into context, the City of Miami as a whole has stated a goal of achieving carbon neutrality by 2050 with a 60% reduction from the 2018 levels by the year 2035. We also have 3 strategies that align with BE305. We have our Resilient 305, which is our joint plan with Miami Beach and Miami-Dade County. We also have our Miami Forever Carbon Neutral Plan, which is the city's greenhouse gas reduction plan. And then the Miami Forever Climate Ready Plan, which is the city's climate action plan. So BE305 is overall meant to improve efficiency of energy and water usage through tracking, benchmarking, and retuning. We're seeing that buildings waste up to 30% of energy and water due to inefficiencies and poor operations. So to address this, we're going to focus on the large buildings, both public and private, residential and commercial. So on this next slide here, you'll see it's actually from 2020. And you'll see that in 2020, there was about 30 or more cities and counties that have some sort of benchmarking policy in place. And nearly half of these go beyond, requiring additional actions on energy efficiency. So now this is 2020. You'll see here on the next slide, 2022, we see that now we have over 40 cities and counties that are adopting some sort of benchmarking policy. So it's beginning to speed up and ramp up. Miami-Dade County is actually in the works with their ordinance, which is going to mirror our ordinance. So they're almost close to passing there. So very important to comply with ours, so that way you'll be ready for the county's ordinance once it gets passed. Here we'll see some of the benefits that owners and managers will see, as well as tenants. For owners and managers, an increase in asset value, improving operating margins, improving tenant retention, and distinguishing your property from competitors. So once you submit your report for benchmarking, you'll be able to compare your building with other buildings of the same type and size. So that's a very neat little thing there. For tenants, improved indoor air quality and comfort, increased tenant satisfaction, and of course, lower utility bills. On this next slide, we'll see basically some results from other cities, some data that shows that overall energy consumption has gone down in all of these cities for those participating in a benchmarking program. And then here we'll see basically all of the buildings, the total amount of buildings that are going to be required to comply. And we do have them tiered out with different compliance dates. So right now we're focusing on the larger buildings, which are 401, and then we'll focus on the 100,000 and above, which are another 267. Here on this slide, we'll see the different compliance dates. So like I said, they're tiered out. So this year, we expect 100,000 and above to benchmark, 200,000 and above by June 30th, and the rest by October 1st, 2023. So that's my little background on the program. I will kick it over to the Touchstone team, and they'll give you guys some more information. 1 second. All right. There you go.
All right, Jeanette, if you want to share your screen. Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for joining today's Building Efficiency 305 presentation for the City of Miami. My name is Parissa, and I'm a project manager at Touchstone IQ, working in support of the City of Miami, and joined today by my colleague, Jeanette Herrera, who is an energy and sustainability specialist. Today's session will be recorded and shared online, so we will be sure to save time at the end for Q&A, but if you have any questions come up along the way, can enter them into the chat box. But here's an overview of the topics that we'll be covering, and this is intended to be a 101 style training for first-time reporters. So what is benchmarking? Building benchmarking is widely adopted practice for tracking the energy performance of a building over time. By measuring a building's energy use and comparing it to the average consumption of similar buildings, owners and occupants can better understand their building's relative energy performance and identify opportunities to cut energy waste. This also allows owners and occupants to understand their building's relative performance and helps identify opportunities to cut energy and save money. This also improves our health and ensures more resource security over time. So next. So the schedule, again, Reynaldo covered this a bit, but the buildings that are 200,000 square feet or larger are required to comply by June 30th of 2023. Then the rest will kind of be phased in over time by October of each subsequent year. And then the owner of each covered property, 50,000 square feet or above, will ensure that retuning is performed on the base building system, but this is not until 2028. And the owners that are subject to the ordinance is any public property or private property, except for any property with a single family home or duplex, solely residential multifamily building building of 5 units or less, or any building with industrial use. Covered private property means a property other than a covered city property or any property owned or operated by Miami-Dade County, the state of Florida, or the federal government with a building or buildings that exceed 20,000 square feet of gross floor area. Covered public property means property with a building or buildings that exceed 20,000 square feet of gross floor area and are owned, leased, or managed by the city, where the city regularly pays all or part of the annual energy and/or water bills. Commercial buildings account for 35% of GHG emissions in the city of Miami, so this statute was enacted as part of the overall ongoing goal to reduce greenhouse gas pollution by 60% in 2035 relative to 2018 levels. And the goal is just to help Miami building owners understand and track their energy use annually and reduce GHG pollution citywide. So there are 2 pathways for building owners to reach compliance with Building Efficiency 305, that's submitting an annual benchmarking report or requesting exemption from reporting, given that the building meets one of the qualifying criteria. So I'll run through the waiver information here, but benchmarking is not required for a covered public property for the current reporting year if the owner submits documentation to the director establishing that the property has met one of the following conditions. The property does not have a certificate of occupancy or temporary certificate of occupancy for all 12 months of the calendar year being benchmarked. A demolition permit for the entire building was issued for the calendar year being benchmarked, provided that the demolition work has commenced and legal occupancy was no longer possible prior to the end of that year. The property did not receive energy or water services for the entire calendar year to be benchmarked, or the covered property had an average physical occupancy of less than 50% throughout the calendar year for which benchmarking is required. Benchmarking is not required for a covered private property for the current reporting year if it meets the following criteria, and that will be any of the previous for the public property. Special circumstances as determined by the director. The property is under financial hardship and provides proof of the same, or the covered property may be exempted from electricity benchmarking if more than 50% of gross floor area is used for residential purposes, and the property is not master metered, or the owner does not have access to master meters or other means to obtain whole building electricity data, and the serving electric utility does not provide data aggregation services or access to whole building utility data. However, once such services are available from the utility, as determined by the director, such properties will no longer be exempt from benchmarking requirements and shall file initial benchmarking reports in the first required reporting year following the data availability. So that means that reporting is the typical pathway toward compliance, and that is completed online through Energy Star Portfolio Manager. Submitting the initial report will be the most time consuming, but moving forward with the annual process is a lot more simple and quick. So what you need is an Energy Star Portfolio Manager account, and this is an EPA created free benchmarking tool and is considered to be the industry standard for benchmarking. You'll need all of your property information and enter that in on Energy Star. You will need a Miami building ID. Each building is assigned a unique ID required for reporting. You will also need whole building energy and water usage, and this will be done through the 2023 reporting link that can be found on our website. And this will be for benchmarking reports due June 30th, 2023 that are reporting 2022 data. When your error-free report is approved by the city, you will receive an email notification that your building is in compliance, and that means that no further action is needed for that reporting year. If your report contains errors, missing information, or exhibits a drastic change in usage when compared to previous years, you will receive an email notification that your report is pending revisions. To bring your building into compliance, you must correct the errors and resubmit or provide an explanation for the drastic change in usage. So Energy Star Portfolio Manager is, again, a free online tool offered by the EPA, and that's used to measure and track energy and greenhouse gas emissions. This allows owners to benchmark the performance of their buildings and compare against other similar buildings in past performance. More than 250,000 commercial properties use Portfolio Manager. This gives us 80 plus unique property types like schools, hospitals, offices, and retail stores. This will provide an energy use intensity score, which is the annual energy use per square foot of your building. It'll also calculate a 1 to 100 Energy Star score. Buildings with a score of over 75 can earn an Energy Star certification. On average, Energy Star certified buildings use 35% less energy. Thank you so much for listening. It's now time for the live demo, and I did see a question pop up in the chat, so I will make sure to get you the link to find your building ID. But I'll kick it over to Jeanette.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Jeanette, and I'm going to be showing you a demo on how to create a building in Portfolio Manager. Good profile here, so let me just share my screen. Give me one moment. Okay, so in today's demo, like I said, I'm going to walk you through the process of how to benchmark. We're going to create a commercial office building in Portfolio Manager. First off, we're going to go ahead and go to energystar.gov/benchmark, which takes you to this page where you can create an account. When you create an account, you're going to go ahead, add your username and password and all the details about your building. And then once you create that, for the sake of today, we're going to go ahead and just log in. All right. So today, like I said, we're going to go ahead, set up an account. From a high level, benchmarking is a 3-step process. We're going to go ahead and add a property today, then go ahead and add a meter, and then add energy and water consumption to that meter. To start off, I want to walk you through once you log in. This is going to be your main dashboard. At the very top right is going to be your account settings. That's where you'll go ahead and adjust your contact information, password, and set up your web services. The notifications tab is where you'll be sharing requests from other portfolio manager accounts. Over here, the Energy Star notification tab is where you'll have alerts from Energy Star, such as score changes or utility connection opportunities. Your contacts are where you can add or delete contacts. You'll need to add folks as a contact before submitting a sharing request to them. And the help tab here will take you to where you can access a directory of reference guides, FAQs, glossary, training, help desk, and other information for you. Now, when we go ahead and go to the dashboard again, the My Portfolio tab is where you're going to see any properties that you add. Like for instance, right over here, you'll see anything. If you have multiple properties, you'll be able to see all of your buildings in this list right over here. The sharing tab is where you're going to be sharing your properties with other portfolio manager accounts after you added them as a contact. The reporting tab is where after you've created your property and added all your energy consumption, this is where you'll go ahead and report your all your data to the city of Miami. The recognition tab is where this tab provides information on Energy Star recognition for various building types, as well as it shows past certification applications. Right, so when we go back to our dashboard, like I said, we're going to go ahead and add a property. So I'm going to walk you through how to do that. When you go to this link right here, add a property. Today, we're going to create an office building. Just as an example, this dropdown will show you all of the different property types that we offer for you to benchmark. Right, we're going to go ahead and click this property being a single building. And then typically you'll always click this building is existing, which is a property that is built, occupied, and being used. For today's sake, we're just going to do test property and enter data as if this building is in operation. Right, so you're going to go ahead and just add information about your property. For today, it's just going to be a Miami demo. In the US, we can go ahead and do 123 Miami Drive. Ooh. Do Miami, Florida. Go ahead and put the year your building was built. So we're just going to go ahead and say this built in 1975. And then for today's sake, given that we're benchmarking buildings over 200,000 square feet, we're going to click that. Our building is occupied 100%. And this part right here is going to be very important. The standard IDs is where you're going to have to add your building ID that you've been assigned. So this drop down, you just go ahead and go to Miami Building ID. Typically, it's going to be an M followed by 5 numbers. So we're just going to go do M with 5 ones here. You'll go ahead and click anything that applies here. But for today, we're just going to go ahead and skip this part. Right, so once you continue, this page right here is just going to ask you simple questions about the building use of your building. So basically, we're going to go ahead and say the weekly operating hours of the building could be about 50 hours a week. How many people are working here? We can go ahead and just say building of this size. We could put down 500 people. Number of computers, typically it's going to be a one-to-one number. So if there's 500 people, typically there'll be 500 computers. When you want to kind of just say how your building is heated or cooled, go ahead and say 50% or more for the sake of today. Here we go. And then we go ahead and add the property. Right. So once we add the property, this is the page that it takes you to. So when you go back to your dashboard, now you're able to see the fact that we created a building and it's going to be this Miami demo here. If you have multiple, it'll just be listed. So when we go ahead and click that, it takes us to your property page. The summary tab here is the landing page. It shows you your Energy Star score, which would typically be up here once you add your energy data. For instance, like if you don't have a score, you could go ahead and click here, why no score? And basically it's going to say property has no energy meters. For the details tab, this is going to show your property use details, typically what we just added. So when you click this caret, you'll be able to see all the information that you just added. If you ever want to go ahead and change or update this data, you can always go ahead and click this drop down that says I want to, and you're going to go ahead and click correct mistakes. Once you correct mistakes, it takes you to this page and you can go ahead and update any value that you find appropriate for your building and you save. All right, so right over here, also on the right, on the left, you'll see that we've added our ID. When you click view, you'll be able to see that we added a Miami building ID. Next, we're going to go to the energy tab. This is where we'll add a meter for your electric and gas. When we go ahead to the water tab, same thing for the water. We can go ahead and add a water meter here. The waste and materials, this is where you'll be benchmarking, of course, your waste and materials. It's not required, but it is up to you if you want to add that, and it could add a meter. The goals tab is where you can set goals for your specific property. And design is where you would use it for designing a building that you wanted to meet Energy Star standards in the future. All right, so now that we've gone through kind of all these tabs, we can go ahead. I'm going to show you how to add a meter. When you go ahead and go to the energy tab, click add a meter. And when you click electric, you could say it's purchased from the grid, and then go ahead, add your gas at the same time. Now, when we're on this page, you can always go ahead and let's say here for your gas meter, you could always go ahead and edit the name of your meter, whichever utility provider it may be. We're going to go ahead and add the unit for this meter. Typically, it would be therms. If it is anything else, you could always go ahead and update it whenever you find out what the units are. We are looking for your energy usage data for the entire year of 2022. So what we're going to do is enter 1/1/2022 because this is the date that the meter became active. Same thing for your electric. Go ahead, edit the name if you'd like, put the units, and then the date that meter became active would be January 1st, 2022. All right, so this is just showing you what your meter would look like. There's no information here, so this is go ahead and continue. And this is very important. So when you create your meters, you want to make sure that the meter is right here. You click this top part. It's accounting for the total consumption of the entire building. When you apply your selections, now you'll be able to see that we've created 2 meters, one for electric and one for gas. You'll follow the same steps whenever you're creating your water meter in this tab. But now that we've created the meter, I'm going to show you how you can manually update your consumption by clicking the meter. And then at the very bottom, when you go ahead and click the single meter spreadsheet, it'll download an Excel spreadsheet where typically it's just going to copy and paste what we see here, where you're going to have the start date, the end date, your usage, cost estimation, and all of this data here. What we're looking for is just the date and usage. There is no cost that is required, but you can go ahead and add that if you like. Once you've updated your Excel sheet, you can go ahead and choose File once you save it and upload that data. When you upload that data, all of that information will be uploaded into this meter. A different way to do it manually is to add an entry month by month. So what you would do is add an entry. This is typically the same thing you would do in your spreadsheet. You're going to have the very first date of 2022. And it basically fills it out for you. When you go ahead here, you can add another entry and go ahead. It'll just update this for the entire year. Just go ahead and do it up until December of 2022. You want it to have the entire year until on the very first. Typically, sometimes what you'll do is just change this so it is cohesive with the entire year. Once you have all that, you can go ahead and just enter your usage. We're just going to make up a number here. And then once you add your usage, you'll go ahead and save that. And as you can see, now you have your usage for the entire year of 2022. The same thing could be done as it would be the same exact thing if you upload your spreadsheet by just downloading this and uploading it here. So if we go back into your energy tab, you'll see here that we have data up until the last day of December for 2022. And that is basically the end of the demo here. I've shown you how to create a property, how to create a meter, and how to add your energy consumption to that meter. And now we're going to open this space for anybody who has questions.
Hello, Janet. How are you? My name is Pablo Pinar. I'm from downtown Miami, from Bayfront. And I wanted to know, I have two questions. The first one is, can we add the entry for the previous years yearly, or it have to be monthly always?
So that's a good question. Are you saying when you go into the meter, are you asking to see if you can add it as in like the whole year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does have to be every month. You can't just make one entry for the entire year. It has to be separated monthly. Otherwise, it's going to trip a flag whenever you submit your report, and it will ask you to separate all your consumption amongst the whole year.
Okay. And the other question that I have is, we have to do it, the monthly entries that you have there have to be done since you start using the meter. So since the meter is active, I don't know if that started in 2000, you have to be month by month since 2000, or what's the requirements there?
So the 2023 reporting year is asking for your data from the previous year, which is the entire year of 2022. So
Okay.
as of now, we are just looking for the entire year of 2022. If you have previous data, you can go ahead and upload that as you like, just so you could track your energy consumption over year to year. But every single year, just think of it as like your taxes. Whenever you're applying for a certain year, you want to put the data of the previous year.
Okay. So it's basically the requirement is to put it the 2022 for 2023, and it's voluntarily to do it for the previous years.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Well, if no one else has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. Oop.
Yeah, so if nobody else has questions, I do encourage everyone to visit the website. I'll drop the link here in the chat. It's www.benchmark305.com. And then I will also put the email address to the help center on there as well. So if you guys have any questions. But yeah, thank you for joining this session. We do have sessions throughout the month of May and June. So if you'd like some more assistance, you can either email the help desk, or you can hop on another training and we'll be happy to assist. But thank you to everyone, and hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.